In this video, we are going to discuss arrays, what they are, and kind of how to use them just very briefly, kind of why they're useful. So if we think of a program that we might have that will, say, keep track of some data for 5 years, or even just hang on to 5 years that the user wants to keep track of, then we might have something like int year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5. And we can go through and say, okay, well, which year, okay, year 1 is going to be 2000, and year 2 will be 2001, and so on and so forth. You can see that this kind of, like, 5 variables really takes up a lot of room, and it's hard to keep track of which one's which, and so on and so forth. So sometimes this can kind of get unwieldy, very quickly even, especially because all of these variables are going to store years, which are the same, not only data type in terms of int, but as well as the same content of data. Like, all of them are going to be storing a year. And so arrays are collections of variables. And so what that means is that if we take visualizing just a normal like integer, then we might have something like, we'll just say this is year 1, and here's our little box, and it holds 2000. And then we have year 2, and it holds 2001. But these are totally separate. In an array, we have something we'll end up calling ours. We'll just call it, come on, there we go. We'll end up calling it years. And this looks something more like this, where it is, like I mentioned, a collection, where here will hold 2000, and here will hold 2001, and so on and so forth all the way down. And we're able to access these through indices. And so it's very important. This is one of the most important things, and that is often forgotten, and it's super important, is that we start out at 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can see here that there are 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 indices in this array, 5 indices, but we start at 0. And so you always need to start counting at 0 as a computer scientist. So start at 0, count down to 4, or count up to 4. And 0 to 4, that equals 5. There are many reasons for this. And a lot of maybe math majors will argue that 0 is not a natural number, and so on and so forth. And we can argue about that till the cows come home. But the point is, that's what you need to do, is you start counting at 0, so just deal with it if you don't really like that. Moving on, we make an array is we do int years, and then we put brackets. And then this will yell at us saying that incomplete type is not allowed. And what that means is we actually have to specify a size. And so in this case, we want to hold 5 years. Now you can see I'm just putting the number 5 here. A better way to do this is to have a const int size and set it equal to 5, and then put size there. And that way, if I ever need to change this later on, I can just come up here and change this, and it's a lot easier than having to go through and find everywhere that I referenced that. So, plus it's just a little bit more clear. So I would always recommend doing this, having a constant size. And you have to pass in a const value of some sort. So if we just did like int size equals 3, and then tried to pass in size, then it wouldn't work because it says that must have a constant value. So always do something like this. And so like I mentioned, we can access the elements of this array using indices. And so we can say years at 0, which is the 0th element, or the first element really, and we can set that equal to 2000. And then years at 1 equals 2001. And years at 2 equals 1985. And so on and so forth. And we can do this all the way up until 3 equals, 20,000, and 4 equals 900. And then let's go ahead and just for good measure, we'll put years 5 equals 100. I'll comment this out for now, and we'll come back to it in a minute. But so we can see that at the end of these statements, our years array will be filled with data, and it will be 2,000, and all of these just stored at different elements. And I just would like to show you very quickly what happens if you try to access an element that does not exist, because obviously this has 5 elements, so 0 through 4, and so 5 does not exist. We're going to go ahead and run it, and it gives us a runtime error. So that just lets you know that you've gone out of bounds on your array, and you shouldn't do that. But so this is the basic structure of an array, how you would set one up, how you would initialize the elements, and that's kind of all we're going to go over today.